MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. My name is Brandy and this is Jeff, and we have been going over Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. So we're on chapter 5 today, and it's Starve the Doubt. So doubt is a dream killer, and most people are so filled with doubt that they are unable to believe in themselves enough to become obsessed with their own successes. So instead, they let the fear get in the way. So you don't fix problems with problems, you fix them with successes. So one way to get over some of these fears is to think about, what are the things I am getting really good at? What are my talents? What have I improved on? And how has that helped me this far? Sometimes you kind of got to give yourself a little bit of a confidence boost, because there are things that you are very good at. It's just sometimes you have to remind yourself of the good things that are out there. Like this happens with me and Jeff when we work out. We follow so many people in the fitness industry who look so much better, but these people do it for a living. And a lot of times we compare ourselves to them and we're like, oh man, like I'm okay, but like I'm not like that. But we forget to look at ourselves again and be like, well, actually we are doing really good. So sometimes you kind of have to do that. Just look overall, like what have you accomplished so far? Where was I a year ago? Where was I 3 years ago? And where am I at today? So that'll kind of help you when you're trying to decide where you want to go. Because then once you feel confident enough, it's like, okay, I could totally do this. So stop looking at where you've been and what happened to you, and make it clear to everyone you are done with assigning blame, and remind them not to fight your genius and get behind it. So encourage people to see what you see and sell them on the concept to convince them it's better, or demand that they get behind you or away from you. So I learned from a book recently called Millionaire Messenger by Brendan Burchard. So he talks about people sharing their vision with others. You got to paint a picture of what it's going to look like when you get there. What it's going to look like when you get there. Where are you going? How are you planning on getting there? And when most people can see the clear picture of where exactly you're going, they can at least be like, okay, like we're still a little worried, but we see what you're seeing, and then people can get excited about it. So I remembered actually doing this with my family when I decided I was moving to Indiana. So I remember being in the kitchen with my family one morning or evening, either way, we were in the kitchen. So we were in the kitchen, and I was like, you know what, this is a perfect time to tell them. I have them both here. And I just let it out, and I'm like, hey guys, I just want to let you know, I started seeing somebody, and I think this person's the one. I'm gonna drop out of college, and I'm gonna move down to Indiana, and I'm gonna start my own business. And by the way, I'm moving in 2 weeks. And my family just kind of stopped and looked at me, and they're like, would you want to repeat that just one more time? And I was like, okay, hold on. Like before we get any further with this, I'm like, but my family was very supportive with this. Even though like they were scared, like my stepdad was probably the scaredest one. He's like, you know what? You're 19, you're going to go do this whether I tell you no or whether I support it. So I'm going to support you. But just know, if you're going to go off and do this, that you can call home anytime if you need anything. It doesn't matter what time of it could be 3 a.m. Please do not be living underneath a bridge, and do not call me. And I'm like, okay, will do. So that's how my family handled me doing that. However, my stepdad always told me, he's like, we raised you to always think things through before going and doing them, and we trust you to be able to go off and do this, and we always have known that you do think things through before going off and doing them, and if this is the absolute thing that you want to go off and do, you can go do it. So in most households, that conversation would not have gone very well. I think about this today, like Jeff and I have talked about having children, and one day when they leave the nest, if my children did half of what I did back then, I probably would have had a heart attack. Not gonna lie. But that just goes to show the faith that my family had in me. And they're like, you know what? We raised you to be tough. You're gonna be okay. So, and that's the type of people that you want to surround yourself with when you're trying to achieve these things. People are going to voice their concerns when you start going on this new journey, because it's scary and it's new. And if, like, when I left home, I really was sheltered and I didn't know much about the world, but I was like, well, I need to go out and experience things for me to become not so ignorant. So I had a supportive family to do this with me. And when you're picking the people that you want to spend your time with, especially when it's family members, make sure that you paint the picture of, like, look, this is what I want to go do. I'm very passionate about this. I'd love for you to support me. And they might be concerned and just say thank you. If they have something to say, it's just thank you. I appreciate that you're concerned, but this is what I need to do. Anywho, beware of the doubt growers. So doubt grows in areas of our life where we think we're taking care of ourselves. And there's a couple myths that Grant wanted to go over. So the myth of burnout. So burnout doesn't happen because you're tired. It happens because you lost sight of your purpose. So what is my purpose in life, and what am I currently doing? What do I need to be doing to be obsessed with what I'm doing again? And then when you are clear on your purpose, you will not be burnt out. When you have a clear vision of where you are going, a lot of times when you start feeling burnt out because you're so busy, it's because in the beginning you saw your purpose and where you were going. But then this is why it's important to keep track of your goals every single day. It's like, look, this is the end result that I want. And if you don't keep track of that, you start veering off this way, and then you're not actually heading in the direction that you originally wanted to be. So that's why it's important to track that. So once you become refocused and you head back on that road again, things start to become exciting again, and you really enjoy what you're doing. The myth of time off and vacation. So it's popular to think that you need a vacation and time off work to relax and unplug. But when you're in the mode of obsessed with your purpose and achieving your full potential, you will naturally regenerate and create energy. So the only thing that's going to ultimately renew you is getting re-obsessed with your purpose. And that's why so many successful people do not see work as work. So the popular saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. That's where that comes from, and that's what that means. And it's not so much about the actual work that's being done, but what is the purpose of where they are going and what they're trying to accomplish. So the myth of balance. I actually really like this one because this is a question that Jeff and I get a lot. They're like, how do you balance so many different things? And honestly, in a way, I love and hate this question because I don't believe in balance. I believe when you're growing, your life is going to be a little out of balance because you're trying things that are new. But people often think that if they become completely obsessed in order to be great and dominate, something must be compromised, and be at time with their family, a good gym schedule, hobbies, going to church, reading books, and so on and so forth. But that's wrong. When you hear other trainers talking about sacrifice, they're talking about things that are not important to you. They're talking about the unproductive things, or they're talking about the things that are important to you, and they're not talking about, sorry, I can't read this very well because I didn't space my stuff out very well. So they're not talking about the things that are important to you that you need to sacrifice, such as your family. They're talking about the unproductive nonsense that are not taking you anywhere. So just goofy stuff like playing video games. What is not really getting you anywhere? So obsession isn't about settling or sacrificing things that are important to you. Obsession is about having it all. Health, family, career, money. And you don't need to ask, would I rather have money or health? Both is actually the answer. So, with that, haters and naysayers. So more successful you become, the more haters and naysayers you'll attract. So you'll need to be ready to deal with them in a positive way. So the world is filled with people who have given up on their dreams and now spend their lives trying to get others to give up on theirs. So don't be your own worst critic. Get out of your head and onto paper and focus on how you would, how you can rather than how you can't. So writing things down, don't focus on all the negative, focus on what actually needs to be done, and then those other things don't seem so scary. So there are plenty of naysayers and haters. I can't afford to be one of them, and neither can you. Naysayers. It would be one thing if critics were just evil people who meant nothing to you, but they also include people who love and care about you. So people who love you and want to play it safe. So the naysayers are all the same, and they have a couple of these sayings that you might recognize. Be careful, watch yourself, be patient, go slow, why are you taking this risk, play it safe, don't need it to do that, or we love you the way that you are. That one's a tough one to hear from some people, and it's kind of frustrating too, because especially as you're improving, because people don't like change, and sometimes, even in fitness too, some people are, like if I say I would like to lose 5 pounds, people are like, oh, but you're so skinny, you don't need to lose 5 more pounds. And I'm like, I know I'm thin, but this is something I want to do, because I'm like, I love the fitness physique of a fitness competitor. I wanted to try it. Just let me do it. Leave me alone. I don't care if I'm skinny. I want to be skinnier. Just kidding. But that's something that we hear all the time. So when sharing ideas with these people, they are concerned about you first, and then their instinct is to protect you and themselves. So that is why most people, most of the advice that you receive will not be supportive, and it is aimed to prevent you from doing anything that involves risk. So the best way to handle naysayers is to hit your goals and over and over until they have no choice but to believe in you. So just talking about it with them over and over, or just having the conversation. A lot of times, I had to do this with my grandmother, and I'm like, look, I get it, because she always likes to hear what we're up to, and it's a lot of times she's worried, like when we travel, and I'm like, look, I promise you that we're not going anywhere dangerous, everything's going to be fine, but if I talk to you about these things, I need you to be positive about it. And I'm like, it's not that I don't care about your opinion, but I just need you to be positive about it for me. I'm sharing this with you because I love you, and I want you to support me, and I want to tell you what's going on, but I need you to be positive. And she was like, okay, I'm totally fine with that. So professional warriors telling you how tired and stressed you are by doing what you do, even though if you're not stressed at all. So what these professional warriors are really saying is that they think that they would get stressed out if they did what you were doing, not necessarily that you are stressed. So going to the gym every day, a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, that you guys must be so tired. Do you guys sleep? I can, and some people will actually come out and say it, and they're like, I could never do that. I'd be too tired. And I'm like, yeah, well, maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, but you got to try it to know if you can. Unsolicited and untested advice givers. So these people are the people who know about everything but have never done anything. So if a prospect goes away because I push too hard, call too much, send too many emails, then it's likely that they're the type of person I don't want to do business with. So Grant used an example in his book. When social media first came out, he pushed out so much content, and in some cases, depending on the platform, he was pushing out content every 5 minutes. Now, people at his company were like, Grant, you need to slow down. Like, there is too much. You're posting way too much. Professionals kept telling him, you're pushing way too much. Don't do what this guy is doing. Heck, even his brother called one day and he's like, dude, I had to unfollow you because you post so much stuff. You need to slow down. And he's like, this is not for you. This is for the 2 million people that don't know me. And all the people, the professionals that were telling him not to go do that, he's like, my numbers boosted 200% because of what I was doing compared to what they were doing. He's like, if you go compare my followers to their followers, the numbers will speak for itself. He's like, obviously something's working, but anytime you go outside of the social norm of what everybody else is doing, people are going to attack it. So he's like, you just need to be ready for it. People justifying their averageness. So understand naysayers are trying to protect themselves from being reminded that they have neglected themselves to an average life. So they can't afford you to do something big because it will challenge the justification that they have made for their own decisions. And you are then a threat to all things average, and you remind them that the average that they are, that they have settled for average. That's what I'm trying to say. Ooh, can't talk this morning. And now we are on to the haters. Now, what is the difference between a hater and a naysayer? The naysayer is somebody close to you who's just concerned and is just looking out for you. But the haters are the people who are actually trying to take you out. Now, you may know some of these people. These people really stand out in the crowd because they always have these comments, but just as a reminder, these comments are not necessarily a bash towards you. It's more of a bash to, this is something that they're angry because they're not doing this themselves. You'll notice that at network marketing events, if you find a person who is actually tearing down another person who is producing, they're like, ugh, they're so full of themselves. Ugh, look at them, they're so cocky. Who do they think they are? They come out very clearly. So you just kind of want to watch out for them. And then the only thing haters produce in life is more hate because they can't create anything. They spend their time trying to stop those who do. And then haters are going to hate, so be obsessed and go create. I did like that. I need to put that into a quote for online. So when they hate on me, they're trying to make sense of why they quit. So there's something I always said growing up, and this is me, not Grant. If nobody is talking about me, I must be doing something wrong. Because if nobody's talking, then there's no, if I'm not doing anything, then there's nothing to talk about. I grew up in a very small town, so anytime anybody did something different, it was talked about a lot. So, or as Grant put it, if you don't have haters, you are not obsessed and not a threat to anybody. So, haters are actually your best promoters. So, haters will promote you more than your biggest fan will. So, Grant, if I could have half the people in the United States hate me, I could be the president. Which is kind of funny, because this actually happened with Trump. Now, before everybody blows up the comments, whether you love him or hate him, I did not know who he was until he ran for president, and I started seeing everybody online being like, Trump this, Trump that, and just all this hate mail, and I'm like, who the heck is this person? I don't understand what the big deal is. And it wasn't until I went and looked him up, and I'm like, oh, and then I knew who he was. So that is something that happens out there. So whenever you post hate content, you're actually making the person more popular rather than tearing them down. So turn haters' negativity into fuel for your obsession. Don't try to stomp it out. Just let them go. And then haters give you good ideas. So someone wrote a nasty blog that claimed that Grant was selfish for waiting till he was 51 to have children. He's like, now, this was kind of a ridiculous comment because in truth, Elena and him have been trying for years to have children, and that's just when she happened to get pregnant. So, however, rather than blocking this person and trying to defend himself, instead, he was inspired to create the Grant and Elena show, which happens every week, and they talk about marriage, kids, and business. This actually happens every Wednesday. I do follow this show, and I do enjoy it. So if you guys have never jumped on that show, that's a good one to go look up. So haters tell you that you're on the right track. So we get told a lot that that's not how we present. So a lot of people are always telling us how to do things. So when we're out and about, we're getting told by tons of people, well, that's not how the company wants us to do the presentation. That's not how we do our events. You need to be doing it this way. This is how we need to contact and invite people. We do things completely different. Jeff and I own a few different businesses outside of network marketing, and that's not how you would, some of these ways that some of the companies have you doing these things are not actually how these things are run outside in the normal business world. So we run ours more along the lines of how everything else would be ran if it were dealing with other business people. So, and that's what works. And here's the thing, when people are coming up to you and trying to change the way that you're doing things, if it's working, keep doing it. Don't listen to the other people. Look at their results. If you see their results, you'll be able to tell, like, okay, is that something that I really want to go do? Are they working? And is it working? So if it's not, then it's like, you know what? I appreciate your advice, but I'm going to still go do this. This is working for me, and I'm going to continue going this way. So take everything with a grain of salt. They may mean well, but stay on your path where you know you're growing, and don't necessarily listen to everybody's advice. Well, you can listen, but you don't have to take it. So Jeff, I'm going to turn the rest of it over to you once you're done doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, you pretty much covered the entire chapter and every single note that I had. So.
Oh shoot! I'm sorry.
And you took up all the time. We're just about out. So it's basically, I mean, haters, it's like the 5 people you spend time with. Look at the 5 people you spend time with. Look at what your media consumption is, and you can now see the media consumption on your phone. Where are you spending the most time? Which articles are you reading? I know right away if I'm talking to a newspaper reader or, a news, in general, it doesn't matter which side, news in general, the topic of conversation most people have is garbage. You come at people with garbage and you're like, oh my gosh, did you hear? Did you see? Did you know? No, I actually don't know any of that because I don't follow it. I don't watch TV and I'm not really into it. None of that stuff is helping you succeed in what you're doing at all. Now, with that, it's not that I'm ignorant to what's going on. Like, I actually physically know what's going on, in sports. I know the NFL draft was yesterday. I could care less. I just didn't see it. Do I like to watch the physical games? Yes. Do I care about the draft? No. I could care who got traded to what team at what point. It just doesn't interest me at all because I don't have any financial interest in it. But I do like the games. I love to go. I love the people. I love when people get run over. Like, my favorite thing to watch is basically linebackers smashing people. That was kind of the position that I always wanted to play, but I weighed 135 pounds. So I ran as fast as I could, but, running as fast as you can and trying to tackle a semi-truck just doesn't work. And if you've ever tried, don't try that. But that's kind of where I'm at. The 5 people you spend the most time with have a lot to do with what you influence. So look at what the people you're around are doing. Look at what they're watching. Look at what they're reading. Look at what they're talking about. Also, if you want to write down the 5 people that you spend the most time with, I mean, right now it's probably, family, the people you're locked inside of a house with, unfortunately. Look at what their incomes are. Who are you talking to on a regular basis online? Look at what their incomes are. I actually wrote this down one time, and it freaked me out. I was like, wait a minute, I'm spending time with all the wrong people. What does their savings account look like? What does their travel look like? What kind of vehicles they drive? Those are the physical things that you can see right away. Now, obviously, we're not talking about the good qualities, right? Because there are people who make a ton of money who don't have good qualities. Carrie, how are you? So you want to focus more on the good qualities, and you want to be around good people, but then look at the results they're producing at the same time. The reason being is if you want to be a producer, you have to be around producing people. If you're around non-producing people, if you're around negative people, if you're around naysayers and all the things that are wrong, it does affect you. It's shown to affect your income. It's shown to affect your attitude. It's shown to affect your sleep cycle. It's shown to affect, a lot of people overeat and do all kinds of weird stuff. So the 5 people you spend the most time with. The other one, what are you listening to? What are you watching? One of the things that I was taught to do right away is you want to watch, you want to listen repeatedly to information that's going to help you, move you in the direction that you want to go. So look at the experts in your industry, who, have done it. I look for people who have done it. I was reading last night. I'm several chapters ahead. I'm almost done with this book. I think I have 1 or 2 chapters left. But one of the things he talks about over and over again, he's like, look at who you're spending time with and look at who you're getting advice from. So many people are getting advice from people who don't have any of the results that they do. What do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Well, I mean, if somebody has no knowledge on something, then are their thoughts really valid on what you're asking them about? Well, I don't need much. I'm okay. That average of being in your comfort zone and staying in your comfort zone is basically one of the things holding you back. The reason people get held back is they don't track what they're doing. The reason you get held back is because you don't track. Actually, we should write that down. Because that's another good one. Some things have been like popping out of my, out of my thoughts and out of my, words that I'm saying, and I'm not really sure where the heck it's coming from. I think it's just overload. I've been locked up for, 30 days and read all these damn books and listened to all this stuff, and now all of a sudden I'm coming up with my own ideas. No, but it is bad. 5 people you spend the most time with, the books you read, what you watch and listen to. So the books you read. That's one of the reasons we're actually doing this and doing the show. I mean, it is for content, to get it out there. It is to help people. We do have a school online that specifically for MLM, direct sales network marketing, that covers the basics of what we've been doing, how we're building. And I just looked, we're at 92% of the next goal level for this month. So that is probably, if it's not happening today, it'll happen tomorrow, because we have a group of people that we're putting in. But I have 8 applications we're putting in by the end of the month. 8 new people that are coming on board. I have 5 of the applications right now. I talked to a group of people yesterday. 3 of them wrote back right away. I had conversation with 2 of them. One of them's definitely getting started. The other one had some questions that we were still talking back and forth up until about 10 o'clock. And then the other one I'm getting back with here in about 30 minutes. So, I know that there's that group of people, and then there's a couple I haven't followed up with yet. What are you doing during this time? You have all this time to kind of evaluate. Obviously, for most of us, it's going to be till when? It's going to be till, at least the end of next week, unless you live in Georgia, because Georgia's going to do it early. To kind of evaluate this stuff, write it down. Who are those 5 people? What do their lives look like? Is that where you want to go? You have to start focusing on dreams and goals. And here's what you'll find. Negative people usually aren't focused on their dreams and goals. They're focused on tearing other people's down. So with that, that's what I got for today. That's what we got for the week. Next week, obviously, we're going through chapters 6 through 10. so you can follow along in the book. This Sunday we have our class, so for those of you who are interested in the school, just put school. If you want more information on that, put school in the comments, and we'll send you some information about the school that we do online, teaching those basics, so that way you know how to put it together better, faster. This 8 applications that goes in will pass, I think we're going to pass 60 frontline people that we brought into the company in 12 months, the company that we work with. So big recruiting, also, recruiting and building our holistic practice, also recruiting and building our real estate company. So appreciate everybody and have a great weekend. And if you need anything, reach out, instant message us.